We recently had a shoot for a client where they wanted us to come in and take some photos of their doctors as well as capture some simple Q&A videos that they could post socially on their website and on YouTube. And to do this, it was a fairly simple and straightforward setup. We were using their surgical facility on a day where they didn't have any patients in, and that gave us kind of full reign to kind of do what we needed to do to get the best possible shots. But a lot of times you'll walk into a situation like this and it won't be nice lighting, that's fixtures in-house, if you will. You'll have to supplement with your own lighting, which we always come with our own light, so that's usually not a problem. But it is something to be aware of when you walk into a space and the lighting is not very nice. In this case, they were very, very green fluorescents, just really ugly. So we even gelled one of the fluorescents because we couldn't turn it off. It was one of the emergency lights that had to be on. So we threw some gel on that to kind of give it a cooler blue look. And we were also fighting with this kind of wall that they had set up, which we were trying to showcase the surgical facility, but also film in a space that was less noisy because oddly enough, in the surgery suite, they have a AC system that can't be turned off. It's a health thing where like the air needs to be filtered constantly, so we couldn't turn it off, and it was way too loud in there to where you couldn't filter it out in post production with the noise sampling and removal. So we had to film out in the other room, but that left this problem of only having the beds and the sink to kind of work with. So the setup there was a little tricky, but we were able to film through the doorway and get it where a little bit of noise was bleeding over, but much less than if we had filmed in that room, and that worked the best. And we were also there to capture some B-roll of them doing a fake surgery, so we had it all kind of mocked up, and we took them through the process, obviously working with them to kind of slow them down. Most people, when they get on camera, they're used to doing things the way they always do it, and that's great, but usually you'll want them to move at like 50% speed, and you'll have to kind of coach them and say, okay, do that again, and just make sure you establish that up front that, hey, this is going to be something that we're going to do a couple takes on. You just keep doing what you're doing in kind of a loop repeating manner so we can get the shots we need. We're taking photos and doing video, and we had some strobes going off, some speed lights that were firing, so we had to kind of coordinate between the photo and the video portion to make sure we were getting what we needed, getting the photos we needed, but then also making sure that none of the speed lights were flashing or strobing during a video take, which was a nice little dance we had to do. But hey, it's what ends up being the most efficient. You get kind of the most bang for your buck, I guess I would say. You get photos and you get video out of it, so that was nice. And trying to do everything as legitimate as possible in terms of making sure they had the right gloves on and all the little things, the eyepieces that they need and the mask that they need. And they were pretty good on that. But, you usually have to remind people like, hey, is this how you would actually do this? Because a lot of people, this is routine. This is what they do day to day. And they're not thinking about all the little steps that when you're looking at a photo or you're looking at a video shot later, like, oh, we would have had this tool in this spot instead of where it is in the shot. So that's always a problem, and you really want to triple check that stuff, especially with situations like this where you want it to be accurate and represent a real thing rather than just something you're kind of mocking up. Then we also did some headshots of the docs, and that was a lot of fun working with them. We were on a limited time. We had very, very limited time. So we just kept the same setup for all the docs. So we weren't worried about changing the background or changing the lighting for each doctor specifically, just because there wasn't time to do that. It was a very jam-packed day, and we wanted to make sure we made the most of it. So we were just firing away some shots. We had this nice little simple setup, key light with a nice fill, or bounce light for fill light. And then we had kind of an edge, but it was mostly to light up the background and put some color back there, make it kind of that blue, cooler, more surgical feeling, blues and stuff. It'd be very strange to see a surgery suite that was like a warm color. It just wouldn't feel quite right. You could go for a pure white, but their color scheme is very blue and white, so they wanted a nice blue backdrop with the doctors looking, nicely lit with clean white lights. And it helped to have the nice surgical facility we're in because it looks impressive. The background lends to the nature of what they do. And so when you go to their website or, see these photos, they're in line with their brand because it's in their space. That's one of the really important things that I like to do is film or take photos or whatever it is in the space that represents the company or brand. We could have done these on white, could have done them on black or gray or just some simple backdrop, but anyone can do that. This company, they have this space. No one else has that. There's other places that it might look similar, but even that's a lot more scarce than just someone having a white backdrop. Anyone can set up a white backdrop. They could be someone off the street with doctor clothes on a white backdrop. That's easy. So I kind of like the unique custom characteristics you get when you're actually filming or shooting photos in the space that the client or person or brand resides. It just kind of makes sense. It makes the whole thing feel cohesive and gives a nice feel to it. So that was kind of quick behind the scenes. Hopefully it was enjoyable. If you found this helpful, I'd appreciate a like on the video. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. I usually try and get to all the comments on my videos. So if there's something I didn't cover and you want to know you have a question about a particular point in the setup, just feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer it.